So I'm going to be reviewing a few books here. This movie is not worth watching. It's like basically unwatchable.
Is this the one that's on?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Well, it's
Game
on
of
here,
Thrones.
wow.
This is the complete 8th season. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Felted Kittens. This is so worth borrowing from your local public library.
What is it
it's
called
excellent.
again?
That is not a real kitten.
That's amazing.
I
Look at
know.
the one in the back. It's
yeah. Well, there's a whole bunch in here. You can peruse it while I talk if you want.
I'll eat first.
Sure. The Buddhist Chef. This book, I want to like it. The guy seems like a really nice guy. Just looking at him, he looks nice. And I will be trying hearty Moroccan soup on page 50. But honestly, I wouldn't bother borrowing this. And the recipes just aren't quite that good. Not really worth it. So, and they're pretty basic. Like there's one that I'll talk about in here, just before while I'm thinking of it. So, because I've marked it. So, to talk about it, page 92, sausages. And I have seen recipes much like this one on the internet, where you use you wrap your thing in saran wrap to whatever, what do you call that stuff? Anyway, plastic wrap, and then you dip it in cook it in boiling water, or broth. Anyway, and he has the option of cheesecloth here, which would be healthier than using plastic wrap. But honestly, I've shown how to make pretty convincing sausages just by using, you could use different kinds of pulp, but carrot pulp works really well for making hot dogs. And I can bring them out again sometime. I have a bunch in the freezer. They're tasty and I'd highly recommend them. So I wouldn't recommend this, and that's because it calls for, rather than using, what do you call it? Anyway, it calls for a gluten flour, all-purpose flour. So basically you're spicing up flour, and that's what these hot dogs are made of. And then you serve them in hot dog buns, and it's like, wow, that is not healthy. That's a whole lot of grain and you're not having like the balance of the lentils or whatever, any sort of protein. You're eating them on hot dog buns. So
doesn't look that attractive.
No, I wouldn't recommend them.
Yeah.
So
I'm shocked, really.
Yeah. Oh, I'll put it out so you can see the title if you like.
I saw the title and when it was
but boy, oh boy, borrow this one from your public library.
That's
like
incredible.
Crazy.
I thought
it's
for
so
sure
good.
this was a real cat on the back.
Oh, I know.
Amazing.
She's an amazing
sitting kind of a funny
artist.
way cats sit sometimes.
Like, I don't know. Hinali was born, I don't know how you'd pronounce that name, was born in Okinawa, Japan in 1976. She began needle felting by teaching herself in 2011, so she hasn't even been doing it that long. And this is what she's managed to do. And participated in exhibitions held in Tokyo Metropolitan Art Museum. After her creations were shown on TV in Japan, they became a hot topic on the internet. Well, no doubt, they are amazing.
Should have been scorching hot. So
yeah.
Let's see the name. It's fascinating. That's must be Okinawan kind of name.
Well,
it could be something else.
From.
Well, what I'm saying is Okinawan. I think the natives actually aren't Japanese. So Japanese, strictly speaking, doesn't have L's in it. So Hinali, right?
But yeah, not only is the product amazing, but she gives really
detailed
excellent instructions. So anybody should be able to follow this and come up with the same sort of product that she has managed to come up with, honestly, if you care enough to take the time. You might have to do it a few times before you get it perfect like her, but she's put together such an amazing book.
I see 33 steps there on this particular one.
Yeah. Excellent. So, yeah, definitely borrow this one from your local public library. Excellent book, excellent artwork. I'd way rather, if I had lots of money, I'd way rather buy one of her kittens than the balloon dog, honestly. But, because they're lovely. Although, Jeff Koons was obviously making a political statement with the balloon dog, which is important for people to be able to see, but somebody with a lot of money can pay for the masses to see his statement, right? Whereas something like this, it's lovely for people with a little bit less money.
The date might be in the back. It's very recent, is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
2017, NLE.
So she only started doing that 2011.
Yeah, I was wondering whether it was a guy or a woman. But it says in the back, it's she. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to tell
when you don't. It seems something that might be stereotypically feminine, but you never can tell.
You never know.
It's amazing how she gets the eyes like that. I don't know if she buys the eyes.
And I hadn't labeled this bag. What kind of nuggets are those that I had them in the freezer? I'm like, well, I may as well start.
Cauliflower or something like that?
It looks like cauliflower.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so I've had enough of those, and I like those that I know roughly what they look like. So
this one was junk. Game of Thrones, honestly.
Well, it is junk right now because it's playing for the dogs inside.
Yeah,
I'm afraid there might be
revenge while I was cooking.
That might be their way of delivering their Siskel and Siebert or whatever, Abert and Siebert, 2 thumbs down. So
anyway, so
that cat's
this ended in a surprising way. I did not expect the season to end as it did.
Oh, Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
No. They stopped doing that, right?
Well, this must be the last season. I can't imagine.
Well, I'm not sure if they did. You know, like it's something that I've never really followed and stuff like that. So it ended on a funny note, and that might have been the way they ended the series.
Not funny, but
well,
anyway,
what I mean
it's not even believable, the ending. Honestly, if you have this woman who, like, oftentimes I look at, I look at everything this way, really, but I'll look at history this way, and I'm afraid that a lot of people would look at Game of Thrones and they'd be trying to analyze the maps at the beginning, they changed it at the beginning for this season, and go, okay, well, these must be referring to this people, you know, whatever. I'm afraid that a lot of people would look at that and look at a show like this and go, oh, well, this is history. And it's not. This is fiction. And I thought that the big hero of the story was the dragon queen. But, I mean, it ended up with somebody else who was very interesting being king. And honestly, like when I look at history as it's recorded or anything, I go, well, is this believable? You know, would this character, given all of these other accounts given by different people, would they actually do this? Or, you know, what's their motivation kind of thing, right? And so with her, Dragon Lady, I'm looking at her going, she's been freeing people, breaking their chains, and then all of a sudden she gets to, she teams up with these guys. They ask for her help so that they can try to get a dangerous lady off the throne. And so she goes in and helps them. She ends up losing. First, she's nailing a bunch of, knocking down a bunch of zombies. So it's easy to make people think that the enemy is easy to kill and not worth shedding any tears over if you turn them into zombies, and or something like that. You know, the Russians, they were doing major nasty war propaganda. Well, not war propaganda before. Against Jewish people, and I mean, once with war, you expect war propaganda. well, people should expect that that's not the truth that they're hearing about the other side, right? But anyway, so here she was. She came up to help them, and they're now her queen, right? Because she's brought her army and her dragons, and she ends up losing a couple dragons in the deal while she's fighting these guys. First the zombies from the north with blue eyes, and then trying to get the dangerous lady off the throne with blonde hair, which has obviously died. So the blonde hair was important enough that they needed to make her blonde, even though she's obviously not. So her character.
Well, I think nowadays, Hollywood, lots of places that are yellow are afraid of. They got a zombie thing of making them look like immigrants. That's why.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, I can't believe that the Dragon Queen would do what she did. But maybe, I don't know, maybe I just desperately wanted her to win so badly. Anyway, so I was not happy with how this ended up, even though, I mean, the guy who ends up being king really, you know, he's a good second pick for, but I'm not into this whole, as much as I find this interesting. James, I watched it without James because he can't stand the mixture of sex and violence in this, so he doesn't want to watch it.
Generally, I can't stand it, but
for me,
that is not what, I think that's what attracts some people, but that
No.
wouldn't be what attracts you. So.
no, but no, it was the Dragon Queen, girl power. Anyway, but and she's dead, so whatever. I wouldn't watch it past this point, even if they had another season. So I gave that away. But anyway, enough said about that. I wish I hadn't watched it, because I wanted her to win, and she could have kept on winning in my head. So, what these books have in common is they're actually not about witchcraft. They won't help you learn anything about witchcraft. So,
Are they all by, no, they're by different companies.
I can't believe our public library.
Is Karen this?
Yeah, and they-
Wikipedia. That is a great title.
And that's actually the best one of the bunch,
Yeah.
because this guy, I do believe, Sean Robbins, I would say for sure is a yellow, and which I think these are written by yellows too.
Well, I think most
But-
people that are really seriously into the Wicca are kind of, they've got a strong component.
No,
Okay.
no, definitely not. It's
Okay.
just most people who if you're going to buy a book that's a popularization of anything, it's probably going to be written by a yellow. That's all.
Well, okay.
And none of these books have enough information that you could really call yourself a witch. Now I wish I'd made note of which was which. I think this one.
Were you
That's
thinking
something
about
interesting.
that pun? Which was which?
Yeah, that's great. So, Basic Witches by Jaya Saxena and Jess Zimmerman. I did find something, like the different titles of or subheadings, whatever, I found interesting, of chapters. Dress to Sorceress. Honing emotions with magical outfits. And,
Owning emotions? Is that what they say? Owning? Owning.
okay.
Yeah.
For
On to the
stability,
next subject.
wear flat or heavy shoes. For emotional protection, wear layers. For confidence, wear loud jewelry. For comfort in times of stress, leave it. Wear soft, soothing textures. For relief from worry or fear, wear tight-fitting accessories. So it's just pretty funny. But like in this one, they were talking about, wearing black is essential kind of thing, and it's like, nope, you can wear whatever you want. And basically,
I
he's
wanna see
saying that in
witches
this
wearing color,
jeans
you know?
and t-shirts.
Yeah.
He's like, whatever. And this one is absolute garbage. I mean, there's more, they say to use white space. Well, in this case, it's a navy blue. But the font is like it's large, and there's not a lot of it on each page. And this is really garbage. This one, yeah, funny-ish, but not, they're not witches at all. It really comes through. It's kind of offensive, actually. If somebody who didn't know anything about
the trend?
Yeah, and they know nothing about it. They're just writing down a bunch of things. Like they'll waste a whole lot of time on talking about like astrology and stuff. And this is a small book anyway. That's a whole nother.
Very small. All of these
very small. All of these are small. They're not going to give you enough information. And this guy, he's saying this is, witchcraft is great because anyone can get involved with it. And you don't have, you have to know a lot. Before you get involved with it, you should actually figure out what religion you're following. And that goes for any religion. So, no, you can't just jump right on into it. And
yeah, please follow that. That's one of the wisest things a
for
person can say.
Any religion,
any belief
you don't
system,
just,
really.
Yeah.
Don't just jump on the bandwagon.
And I'm going to say that he claims to be psychic, and so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, well, maybe he was able to just jump into it because perhaps he is psychic. I'm not going to say he's not, because I don't know. So perhaps he's psychic and he was able to psychically know which planets were in which position, so that he could effectively cast whatever spells he's trying to do. But witchcraft is actually a really, really complicated belief system. You have to know a lot about a lot of different things, not just, maybe a dozen herbs or whatever he's listing here. No, you have to know a lot about, it's a great religion for actually teaching people to learn about everything. So if you have a teenager who has decided they're into witchcraft, don't get them these books. These books will not help them in the rest of their life. This is all fashion. This is superficial garbage. And you could get them interested in trying to learn about the magical or healing properties of various herbs. Or gardening. And harvesting at specific times of the, lunar cycle, whatever, and planting according to whatever, right? And then that gets them in tune with the environment that they live in. And learning about the planets, learning about history, all of this is part of witchcraft and part of learning how to be a better citizen, honestly. Because appreciation of knowledge, appreciation of how complicated life really is and how much you have to know to actually do something effectively, and that you don't just jump right into it, is an important thing to learn. So you're never going to get any decent information on any, like this, basically it's like, read it like fiction. Because there's not any information here. This is really useless. The library spent so much money on these, and they're garbage. Really, they're a waste of paper. It really goes against what witchcraft is about. Just printing these books, honestly. So he also believes in, the guy in here, he believes in angels. So he spends a lot of time, a lot of this small book is spent talking about angels and stuff. I mean, he has a wide range of things that are not at all related to witchcraft in there. So honestly, these books, do not borrow them from your local public library.
Definitely don't buy.
No. they're garbage. Try to research which books the library should carry. And honestly, if I were a more aggressive person, I would go into my to talk to whoever ordered these books for my library and give them trouble about it, because they've wasted taxpayer dollars. That honestly, if anybody is genuinely interested in witchcraft, they shouldn't get these. For this one especially, they might find offensive, because it is. If anybody who didn't know anything about a religion, any yellow, who wanted to write a book, say a popularization of the Christian Bible or something like that, it would be offensive. This is offensive. Or any other religion. This is a religion. So this is offensive, what they've done here. And most people, they might want to dismiss witchcraft and go, oh, well, it's just something teenagers, they have phase, they've got out. Okay, but still it's a religion. And I am, whether or not you believe in any other person's belief system, have respect for them. And don't put out things like this. And definitely don't buy them. If you're a public library, that's offensive.
I think so.
So
don't buy popularization.
No.
They're garbage.